All right, ladies and gentlemen, the time is now 7 o'clock. I'm going to call the meeting to order here tonight. Our first business of order here is our Pledge of Allegiance. I want to ask Commissioner Michael Shriver to lead us off in our Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our first order of business is our special recognition. This month, we are celebrating Parks and Recreation Month by recognizing those who have contributed to the Franklin County Parks and Recreation. We'd first like to recognize Rebecca Bafidji, an outstanding young leader who has achieved the rank of Eagle Scout. For her Eagle Scout project, Rebecca designed and installed a sensory board at Franklinton Park. This project addresses communication barriers and offers a valuable resource for individuals with diverse needs in our community. Her dedication and hard work exemplify the principles of scouting and the spirit of her service. We recommend Rebecca for this remarkable achievement and her lasting contribution to our community. So, Miss Rebecca, if you could please stand and be ready. Come on down here. Thank you very much for that. At the end of this, we're going to have a picture taking ceremony out here in the walkway outside.
And Chairman Boyd, I just want you to know that I know Rebecca personally.
Okay.
And she is an extraordinary young citizen of Franklin County
Good.
and a young lady. I just want y'all to know that because I know her personally.
Good. Great. All right, next, we'd like to recognize Jim Murphy, former chairman and member of the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board. Jim recently stepped down from the board after 10 years of service. During his tenure, Mr. Murphy, Franklin County constructed Owens Park and is in the process of constructing Epson Park. There have been countless improvements in other parks as well as recreation programs. Jim has been a faithful advocate for parks and recreation. His volunteer service to the county is greatly appreciated and will be missed. Mr. Jim, please come up to the board, please. And just round of applause. Lastly, but not least, we'd like to recognize Franklin County Special Olympics participants from the Summer Games of June 2024. This year, the county sent one of its biggest delegations to Raleigh. Our 11 athletes began their season in February, training for local and state games, and brought home 18 gold medals, 15 silvers, 4 bronze medals, and 1 fourth-place ribbon. We have several of our athletes present this evening and would like to acknowledge their accomplishments at this time. Jimenez Ortiz,
Jasmine.
Okay, Jasmine Ortiz, I'm sorry. All right. If you'd like to come on down, as I call your names, come on down. Jeremy Hingle. If I say anything wrong, please correct me. I'm going to do my very best. Tyreek Fogg. Zadie Chesney. All right. Tania Chesney. Yeah, that's fine. You're doing all good. You're doing just right. Yep, just keep on coming. Lorenzo Stancil. Anna Mendoza. Lilani. All right. Austin. Carly Young. Yeah, come on down. All right. Zaria Chesney. I'm sorry. I think I get this last name right. Nathan Gupton. Good. Come on down. All right. All right. Well, let's get these. Okay, thank you for representing Franklin County very well. Now, if all of you would move out here into the hallway for a picture taking ceremony here. Yeah, everybody come on. Yeah. All right. First item is our consent agenda. And I have had a request for item H to be removed for further discussion.
Okay.
Ms. Rothfield?
What's the question?
I wanted to make sure I knew what that was. What that
Okay. Our finance director can explain that? Yes.
Good.
This is a budget amendment to recognize the $15 million that we got from the state directed grant, just to put it into the project to be spent for the judicial complex.
So it's not an addition to the.
No, it is,
Okay.
we hadn't set up a project with this amount in it
Right.
yet.
I just wanted
To recognize that
clarify
funds.
what- Okay, thank
It
you.
is not county funds, it is judicial funds.
Thank
We'll make sure we get the money.
Right.
Yes, sir.
Good.
Okay, thank you for that.
Yes, we actually already have the money,
Okay,
but yes.
Right. Good.
thank you for that explanation.
Any other discussion on that? Okay.
That's it.
All right. Okay, the rest of them will run through. Item A is the June 17th, 2024 minutes. Item B is releases, adjustments, refunds, and tax collection report. Item C, the annual tax settlement. Item D, consent to assign the CCS hauling contract. Item E, surplus and sale weapon to Deputy Sheriff / SOR Daniel A. Bass for $1. Item F is certification of land ownership, Sam Horton road parcels. Item G is the fiscal year 25 budget amendment number 1. Item H, which we just pulled out, was the Franklin County Judicial Complex Project Budget Amendment number 3. Item I, the resolution to accept ARPA grant funds from the North Carolina Department of Environmental Quality for 3 public utilities projects. Do I hear a motion?
Move to approve.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Here comes item number 2, the most important part on our whole agenda tonight, by far. Comments from the public. Our first person that has signed up to speak is Carla Rashisha.
Rustage.
Rashish. All right, I'm going to get it. Practice makes perfect. All right. Let me see.
Good evening. My name is Carla Rossage. My address is 1490 Old Halifax Road in Zebulon. I'm going to keep this quick to quick 5 minutes. Let me get started. I wanted to come out tonight and express my gratitude to the county for finally taking action on the animal cruelty that was taking place at 115 Sapphire Court in Franklinton. It is a shame that this situation did not result in charges last September when it was investigated by our animal services manager. As you know, based on the information I presented to you in February, many of us in the animal advocate community are convinced this situation was pushed under the rug last year, when every single witness statement, every vet report for animals removed from the premises by the rescues, and even the evidentiary video taken at the premises by Animal Services was omitted from the Animal Services report of investigation. What are we supposed to think? And because the person who was or is the tip of the spear for animal cruelty investigations seemingly looked the other way, in a home where 7 dogs had just died in a single day, more animals were left to suffer in this home, a home that was borderline hoarding and had crates on top of crates, crates surrounded by and covered on top by plywood and other materials, blocking airflow, water bowls overturned and are green with mold, floors covered in feces, etc. Why were these animals left to this fate by the agency and person whose job it is to protect animals in these types of situations? Fast forward 6 months to 1 March 2024, and we have progress. To my understanding, based on court documents, this forward movement was the result of the DA and the Sheriff's Department and their visit to the premises on 1 March. The wheels of justice and government sure do turn slowly, as even though authorities visited the premises on 1 March, it still took almost another 2 full months before the animals were seized from the property on or about 21 May. If my research is correct, the seizure included 12 dogs, 3 cats, a rabbit, and a hamster. 3 of the dogs were not owned by the home occupant and were released to the owners from Animal Services. Was the home occupant boarding these 3 dogs in her home like she was 2 of the dogs that died last year? If so, was she ever licensed as a boarding facility? I can't imagine the state licensing this home. If not licensed, why wasn't she charged with operating an illegal boarding facility both in September and May? 9 of the dogs seized in May were in the home last September. But there is another dog, Penny, that looks to have disappeared. She was accounted for in the September report, but she was not seized in May. Where is she? What happened to her? Is she dead too? 4 of the seized dogs did lead to 4 counts of animal cruelty, 1 count for each dog. My rescue pulled these dogs to safety. They came to me significantly underweight, so much so that you could see their ribs and their backbones. And this was after they spent almost 2 weeks in the shelter getting fed and watered. Imagine how underweight they were when they first went into the shelter. They suffered from dilute urine because of prolonged dehydration. Some had hair loss, and 1 sadly has hookworms and heartworms. Behaviorally, 1 has food guarding behavior, 1 has separation anxiety, 1 has generalized resource guarding behavior, and the other has generalized anxiety. Healing their emotional trauma will take much longer than the physical, but we'll get it done. Perhaps if they weren't left to suffer last September, they wouldn't be this broken in health or spirit. There are now 2 criminal court cases stemming from this situation. A felony case for larceny of a dog on the court docket for September 27th, and a misdemeanor case for animal cruelty on the docket for August 5th. These animals have been let down by the system enough already. I hope the Franklin County justice system finally takes a stand for them and others like them. Between these cases and the Anne Marie Green case, I hope Franklin County sends a clear message that animal cruelty will not be tolerated. We as a society need to do better for the animals. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, our next speaker is Teresa Wadford.
Hi, I'd like to thank the commissioners and staff for serving our community in this role. I am addressing the mandate for developers and single-family property owners to connect to Franklin County water and sewer services if they are within a certain distance to the existing infrastructure. To be brief, the crisis for growth and development that Franklin County currently faces is because of the lack of water supply to meet the demand, and is the biggest challenge and obstacle for continued strategic growth in this county. The Franklin County Times published an article on May 9th from a previous meeting about this issue and suggested creating a stakeholders group to put forth possible solutions for this issue. One side of the issue is supply. The other side is the demand. This evening, Public Utilities Director Chris Doherty is proposing the removal of the mandate to connect to services for developers as an obvious, immediate, and cost-free solution to lessen the demand side because it gives the developers the option to put in well and septic systems in the neighborhoods they develop. I am requesting that the mandate for the single lots or properties be included in that removal as well. Property owners such as myself who have land that have suitable soils to easily install our own well and septic and do not wish to receive services are currently forced to pay thousands of dollars in permits and impact fees, etc., to secure municipal services, which we may not need or want. Currently, the mandate also prohibits drilling a well for animal or agricultural needs as well. As a property owner, I highly object to governmental overreach to dictate the usability of the resources on property that I own. This is especially true with regard to such essential services for a residential home such as water and sewer services, and prohibit the ability to use my property as I wish, to raise animals, grow crops, or the general use and operation of a farm. I cannot think of another solution that is, again, immediate and cost-free that will mitigate the water supply crisis that is lessening the demand through this removal of the mandate. Should future solutions bring about the abundant supply of water to meet any level of need of growth, then the board could reconsider at that time. I know that the process is going to require time, effort, innovation, collaboration, and compromise. And there will be many organizations, both local and state, that will have to participate to arrive at workable solutions that are both short-term and long-term for the growth that we are experiencing here. So towards that end, please consider this request to include the single lots with Director Doherty's proposal for the removal of the mandate. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Our next speaker is Georgie J.C.
Hello, my name is JC Georgiev. I currently live in Granville County, but we're interested in purchasing property in Franklin County. But we were told by Environmental Health that we would need public utilities to issue a release from public utilities to apply for a well permit for the use of our livestock and agriculture on a property that doesn't have a house, it's just a barn. And even though there is not a house at the lot, we would not be able to drill a private well for accessibility to that livestock. Public Utilities said they would not issue that release, even though the well would be drilled for the purpose of animals and plants and not for human consumption. And I mean, really, why wouldn't they? They're getting money for that. It would be a minimum of $101 for 2,000 gallons of water. My family has been here since 1685. We've been farmers all that time. And it just is painful to think that we wouldn't be able to buy this property because we couldn't afford the water when we have the 5 acres to be able to drill and provide the water ourselves if we're paying for it. So we want to be good stewards of the land and have intention of organic farming, but we cannot afford to run a family farm and pay hundreds of dollars in water. I can appreciate that there's water available, and I can understand major subdivisions are tapped into community water, but this rule makes no sense for those who have acreage and farm operations. This Muni Code is an overstep of power when we are willing to pay to drill on our own land, and I just ask that you please include property as well when overturning this rule to preserve the American way of life. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, that concludes item 2, comments from the public. I'm sorry? Oh, I'm sorry. I looked over the pre-printed labels here. I'm sorry. Our next speaker is Krista Duncan. And again, I apologize for that.
Okay, thank
Yes.
you. I'm going to throw out a number that I want you to keep in the back of your minds while I speak. I'll come back to it later, but that number is 6,024. When it comes to Franklin County Animal Services, it is beyond time for change. Our citizens are kind, caring, and generous. We deserve an animal shelter that reflects rather than undermines our values. Homelessness should not mean a death sentence for animals. Do you know what stands between life and death for our shelter animals? It's just one thing, and that's our shelter director. Our director remains steadfast in the status quo. She has no short-term or long-term goals for the department. Heck, she doesn't even have standard operating procedures. What she has are the same old cliched excuses. And why should she make any effort to do any more than the minimum standard required by law, which she loves to quote, when no one is holding her feet to the fire. So, what is the best way to challenge the status quo? There is only one logical solution for any organization, and that is leadership. It has to be the top priority. A true leader has moral authority. That is what influences others to willingly follow. A true leader leads by example and emulates an organization's missions and goals, not just by what they do at work, but how they live, by setting an example for others to aspire to. According to the survey results that our advocate group took a while back, and I believe you guys all got copies of, I don't think that too many people in this county, or at least those that responded, feel like our current director is an example we want to emulate. Now, you know when you're looking for a job, how it's good to have an inside track. Somebody who can recommend you and maybe help you get an interview. If by chance you get that interview and you do get hired, then you know that now you have to make it on your own merits. I'd like to give you a brief overview of our director's career in animal services. She started in Granville County, where she was hired by the head of EMS. And at that time, the head of EMS was Martin Bragg. Not so coincidentally, he is a relative of Vice Chair Bragg, also meaning he is related to our director. After a time in Granville County, there came opportunity for a promotion. It came down to our director and one other employee, and the other employee got the job. But luckily, at the same time, there was an opening in Franklin County Animal Control for a director, which just happened to be run by a great family friend, Sheriff Winstead. So our director was a shoo-in, and in 2015, her Franklin County journey began. Mr. Winstead let our director have full control of the shelter and the department without any oversight. Then in 2022, Animal Services moved under the office of the county manager. We all know the story from there, the ethics issues with her mother as an elected county commissioner and now the vice chair. At what point in that work history do you see where our director stood on her own merits? I mean, I think she's made a name for herself, but it's one of infamy in my opinion, not one of a compassionate, caring director who values her community and strives for better outcomes for animals in her care. I'm getting back around to that number that I told you when I started. Remember, 6,024. That is the total number of animals killed at our shelter from 2015 through the end of May 2024 during our director's tenure. Those lives lost are directly attributable to her. And that number is actually low because there were no statistics on the website with the State Department of Agriculture for the year 2016. And for other reasons that I won't go into right now, I also feel that the number is low. So to me, that does not speak to true leadership. And I just want to tie in, since we always all talk about the money, just wanted to kind of tie in something. The economic vitality of Franklin County area depends on factors like roads and developable acreage, the obvious factors. But let's not forget that it depends on quality of life concerns. Before families or major employers consider moving to an area or creating jobs, like a company creating jobs, moving to an area, they depend on those quality of life concerns. They look at things like schools, parks, and public services. Those are important for securing and retaining a quality workforce. Do you know what else matters for well-being and future prospects? How we care for stray and abandoned animals. To create an even greater place to live, work, and raise a family, we should be enhancing the lives of our citizens, human and animal alike. These things matter because they are attractive to a young, vibrant, pet-loving workforce. Again, I implore you, we've been over this literally for years, and I really feel that we're not going to make any progress unless we wipe the slate clean and start with new leadership. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you. All right, that concludes our public comment section. Moving on to item 3, action items. Item A, NCACC Youth Representative. Franklin County 4-H youth Tia Iverson will comment on plans to attend the 117th Annual Conference of the North Carolina Association of County Commissioners. One of the requirements for participation is attending a county commissioners meeting. The annual conference will be held in Forsyth County, August 8th through the 10th, 2024. Miss Iverson, come on down. Okay. All right. You want-
Good evening, and on behalf of Franklin County 4-H and all of its members, I want to thank each of you for letting me speak tonight. I consider it an honor to be selected as the youth representative to attend the 117th Annual Conference of the North Carolina Association of County Commissioners. I want to attend this important event so I can bring back what I learned and be able to share it with not only my fellow youth and 4-Hers, but also with my local community and other communities. Hopefully, by bringing back this information, I will be able to show off being a local youth ambassador, and I can help raise up a new generation of leaders. I hope to learn first how I can help my local community by understanding better how my local government works. Next, I hope to gain a better understanding of what my county government does and the role of commissioners as leaders in our country. I want to thank you guys again for this opportunity to have a part in influencing the next generation of leaders in our county. Thank you.
Would you like to come up here and, for a picture? Take it there. Looks like we'll be well represented at Forsyth County. Yep, come on down here.
Where do you want to go outside like we do?
Well, I guess we could.
Yeah, let's do that.
Item B is Public Utilities Ordinance and reading. On June 17th, 2024, Christopher Dorsey, Public Utilities Director, presented changes to the Utilities Order, Chapter 34 of the order. Dorsey?
Good evening, Commissioners. As Chairman Floyd said, on June 17th, we presented this ordinance to you, reducing or eliminating the 2,500-foot requirement to connect to public utility systems if it's adjacent to the property or within 2,500 feet for both water and sewer, for non-residential development, and also for major subdivisions. Tonight, we're here for the second reading of the said ordinance. If you have any questions, I'll stand by to answer them.
I got two public speakers here tonight with their concerns. Will they address their concerns?
It would not, because that's not part of the presentation here tonight. That would have to come before you at another time. We would have to bring that ordinance back in front of you to eliminate what I'll say, the individual lot requirement of 250 feet. That would have to come back put in front of the board for consideration and adoption.
I would like to ask staff to look at that, bring it back before the board.
Pretty soon. Get the rest of it in there.
So repeat what the second part of that change was. Non-residential?
Non-residential, which would be commercial, industrial development
And the first
an
part
environment.
then was,
for major subdivisions,
got it.
according
Okay,
to the
that's
state
why it was
definition.
called-
Correct.
Farm use or just agricultural.
Nothing says farm use.
Nothing
Talks
says
about
anything
farm
about
use.
farm or ag
That's what I was.
within our ordinance.
Right.
I'd like just staff needs to take a look at them and understand from public comment tonight. Ordinance. At the board's direction.
Yes.
Do we need to refrain from voting on this tonight until we get an update on that, or?
This is a separate section of the
Okay.
ordinance. We have the first reading.
Okay.
That is correct.
All right, you've heard the recommendation. What's the pleasure?
Move for approval.
Second.
Motion made, second. Any discussion?
I would like to be heard, Mr. Chairman. Also, the other thing I'd like for staff to look at is here in the, our agenda, it says major subdivisions, which is 5 or 6 or more equal a major subdivision. So I'd want to be sure that this would, that we look at the next approach of this revision. Is it anything? Agriculture, a single house, a double wide, a single wide, doesn't have to be a major subdivision, but any use of land that would want water should have the right to drill a well and produce septic if they meet the minimum square footage of the lot necessary for suitable soils, the roughly 3/4 of an acre or more, and then you would have to have the soils test done by the environmental health. But the point of it is that my hopes with what we were doing tonight and we did our last meeting was that this was going to alleviate that problem across the board for everything. There would be no requirement on any landowner to hook up to water that, was within 2,500. There would be no requirement. Basically for what Ms. Watford made the comment on, because we don't have adequate water to give as land right owners, the rights of our landowners, to tell them they have to do something that we can't provide for them that's not how that program should work. So I just wanted to make that very clear in the intentions of staff working towards the next step for us to do that. And I agree.
Your contact information here. We will be in contact with you forward at when we come back. Revision. Any other board member have any comments? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. So our next item is item C, library update, acceptance of grant fund. William Dorfer, Assistant County Manager, will introduce Michelle Hildreth, Library Director, for a general update of Franklin County Library operations. Mrs. Hildreth will also provide an overview of $445,617.72 grant the library has been awarded to the State Library of North Carolina. We'll get into that.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Board of Commissioners. So unfortunately, Michelle had an emergency and is not going to be able to join us this evening, so I'm going to be pinch hitting for her, and unfortunately you won't get the full show tonight, but I'll give you the details, the basics anyway. So, hey, Timon, I can't get the slideshow. So as Mr. Foy said, the library has applied for and won over $400,000 in grants this year.
Yeah, I think of getting that.
Okay. In addition, the board has not heard an update from the library in some time, so I'm going to give a brief update on library activities. In the fiscal year ending last month, fiscal year 24, the library was able to improve some staffing, improve staffing in all branches. The improved staffing allowed for increased programs, and the increased programs has led to increased circulation or books and materials checked out in the community. And to close the year out, the library and facilities management completed a renovation of the 25-year-old Youngsville Library branch, which included new carpet, paint, excuse me, and improved layout to improve the library's experience. Other improvements included a new circulation desk, shelving that was repositioned to increase the width between the shelving, so it's 42 inches instead of 36, and furniture was updated to allow for additional seating in the library. Okay. Some of the additional programs included increased focus on educational enrichment, Every Child Ready to Read, which teaches parents and caregivers how to support early childhood literacy development, ABC Craft and Learn, which is a kindergarten readiness program, and it's offered weekly at Lewisburg. There are regular monthly adult programs, and in the summer they will start a teen leadership program. The library has also focused over the last few years on closing the digital divide. By providing public access, computers, and all those computers have been replaced and updated. Staff training via North Star. North Star is a program offered by the North Carolina Cardinal System that trains library staff on how to help people with their digital literacy questions. So if you come in and need help downloading an attachment from an email, or uploading an attachment, or filling out a job application, the librarians are trained to help with those digital literacy skills. There's also new access to new technology. The library has a virtual reality headset that they use for the youth programming, 3D printers, and machines that allow maker space, they call it. You can make little things. It's pretty neat. Hard to explain, but it's neat. In fiscal year 24, again ending last month, the library Wi-Fi was accessed over 10,000 times by users. So the Wi-Fi continues to be popular. Okay, I'm going to get into the grants. So the strategic planning grants, first one I'll talk about. The award amount is $26,000 and $26,475. The match amount is $88,825. That's been budgeted in the programming budget for the fiscal year 25 budget. Strategic plans are required in order to receive state funds. And the previous plan was done pre-COVID with prior leadership back in 2019, so it's dated. All the 5-year plan has been pretty much completed, and so it's time to update the plan. The plan will be based on data analysis, community survey, focus groups, stakeholder interviews, and the final product of the plan will include an implementation guide to help achieve the goals identified by the community. This is sort of the timeline of the plan, some data analysis, library board and staff retreats. They'll draft a plan. And then again, the final phase will be the deliverables and plan to implement. The next grant is the STEAM Powered Learning Grant. STEAM is Science, Technology, Engineering, Arts, and Math. This program focuses on expanding offerings to our youth programming, especially kindergarten through fifth graders. It will increase opportunities for youth in our community to encounter science, technology, engineering, arts, and math concepts and materials through library programming. It's important to note that more than 80% of students' learning time is outside of school. To address learning loss from school closures during COVID, it is essential that programs meet after school on weekends and during the summer, and that they provide quality programming. So that's what the STEAM Powered Learning Grant will offer. The grant will cover materials to expand the programs. It will also provide training to staff, again, to better provide those STEAM programs. Again, timeline here, going to start purchasing stuff this month, next month. In the fall, begin training, and the final phrase, children will be exposed to circuitry, robotics, and rocket propulsion. All that at our libraries. Okay, and the final grant is a Digital Champion Grant. This Digital Champion Grant, $387,000 and some change. No match required. This grant is through the North Carolina Department of Information Technology, and this grant will provide a digital navigator librarian to help, again, with the digital literacy. So they'll be focused on digital literacy and providing training, and also part of their job will be to implement this grant project to make sure it's carried out appropriately. We'll also provide laptops, soundproof booths at each library branch for telehealth appointments, virtual interviews, and some privacy for folks to access things that are harder to access out where internet isn't as strong. We'll expand device lending by adding hotspots with different service providers, and we'll include Sensory carts. Sensory carts help people with communication challenges communicate. And so the timeline, the initial steps are going to include recruiting and onboarding a digital navigator, and then access technology improvements, and then start to do outreach. So in summary, in order to spend all these funds, the board is requested to accept the following grants and authorize the county manager to sign all necessary documents and agreements. The LSTA grant, the strategic planning grant for $26,000, $475, with an $8,825 match for a total project cost of $35,300. The LSTA STEAM Powered Learning Grant, $32,136, with a $3,571 match for a total project of $35,707. And finally, the Digital Champion Grant, $387,006.71, and no match required.
I make a motion.
Second.
There's been a motion made and second. Any discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Very much, Mr. Dorfer. Moving on to item D, our Community Emergency Response Team, otherwise known as CERT Overview. Nicholas Thorpe, EMS Director.
will provide an overview of the Community Emergency Response Team CERT and how Franklin County residents can become more active in supporting their community in times of emergencies and disasters, volunteering with their local CERT. Information will be provided on how volunteers can join and receive training. Thank you.
Good morning. Glad to be here. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to talk to you about the Community Emergency Response Team and what we are doing in emergency management to promote emergency volunteerism, community resiliency, and the great adventure that we are moving forward with this program in the county. I'll show you this little clip from the Federal Emergency Management Agency, or FEMA, about the CERT program.
We teach people confidence. The confidence that should a situation arise, that you have the capabilities to react to that situation.
It's really empowering to know that you're what's going to be there first, you're what's going to comfort the people.
Our volunteers are made up of really everyone. They are some of the most amazing people that you'll ever meet. They're all different, and they all want to be part of our CERT program for many different reasons.
Everybody brings a skill. That's the beauty of CERT.
Please. Okay, turn up the volume.
We teach people confidence. The confidence that should a situation arise, that you have the capabilities to react to that situation.
It's really empowering to know that you're what's going to be there first, you're what's going to comfort the people.
Our volunteers are made up of really everyone. They are some of the most amazing people that you'll ever meet. They're all different, and they all want to be part of our CERT program for many different reasons.
Everybody brings a skill. That's the beauty of CERT.
All right, so CERT is not a new program by any means. It's been around since the late 1970s and then the 1980s. It started out in California as a result to major earthquakes and fires in that region. The city of Los Angeles found that there was a need for citizens to be more prepared and trained on how they can help in their own community until first responders arrive. The worst thing you would ever want to hear in an emergency or in a disaster is the busy signal when you call 911. And so the CERT program empowers and enables citizens to take responsibility for helping themselves to be more prepared and more resilient during emergencies and disasters, but also helps them be more able to help others in their community. And in turn, that helps us in emergency management and in our emergency service partners. Following the attacks on 9/11, President Bush called on all citizens to donate 2 years of their lives into volunteerism, and CERT being one of those avenues through the Federal Emergency Management Agency, Department of Homeland Security, and the Citizen Corps program that manages the CERT program nationwide. So what does the CERT do? Well, Community Emergency Response Team members are trained to support state and local first responders in various areas, to include Emergency Operations Center, support damage assessment, providing basic first aid, shelter staffing, staffing points of distribution, and promoting preparedness and safety in their own community. And these are all areas that we see CERTs volunteer here in North Carolina, and these are certainly areas that we're going to explore in incorporating CERTs into our emergency operations here in Franklin County. So how does someone become a CERT or join a CERT team? Well, all CERT members are required to go through a basic training course. It's roughly 20 hours of training, and it covers various topics from disaster preparedness or preparation, CERT organization, sort of how do we organize ourselves in responding to localized emergencies and disasters and special events, disaster medical operations, disaster psychology, fire safety, and light search and rescue, and terrorism. And this helps individuals become more aware of their surroundings and understand the things that could happen around them and what measures they can take to keep them safe, but also maybe take someone with them to keep them safe as well. Again, also helping in their community should their disaster occur and it overwhelms our emergency response agencies. So where can people volunteer, or where in the community do CERTs exist? Again, they exist all across the United States and across North Carolina. So this means that by going through the CERT program, either abroad, if you will, not here, or here and you leave us, unfortunately, you'll be able to plug into a CERT program. And so as we see the county continue to grow with people coming into our county who are interested in taking on a more active role in their community, this is a great opportunity to bring them on and fold them into our emergency response programs. Currently here in Franklin County, we have one official program that's been up and active for a while, and that's Lake Royale CERT. We're finalizing the recognition process with the Bunn Lions Club CERT program, and they've already proven to be a very active organization here in the county, as you all know. And we are excited to announce that we will be starting a Youngsville CERT program through the Youngsville Volunteer Fire Department here in the next few months. And so these organizations and these community groups are a great addition to our capabilities of keeping our community prepared and safe during any type of an event. So what do we want to see from our CERTs? And this is sort of our vision for the CERT program. We want to empower Franklin County residents to be more resilient from impacts by large-scale special events, public health emergencies, and disasters. We want to build prepared communities where neighbors can help each other during a crisis and help first responders when they are overwhelmed during disasters. And we want to build a cadre of trained volunteers who can assist first responders during major events and incidents. And that's what we want to do here in the program. I started out my career in emergency management as a CERT volunteer in the Washington, D.C. area. It's a great program and leads to many new opportunities, not only from a civic engagement perspective, but also career. So with that, I want to say that we are hosting a CERT basic training class starting on Monday, August 5th through August 10th from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. And then Saturday is 9 to 1. It's very interactive. It's very hands-on training, but as you saw in the video, no matter what your skill level is or abilities are, there is a role for you as a CERT volunteer. And that's what makes the program great, is that anyone can come and be a part, and we can find you a role to fill during an emergency, disaster, or special event. If you're interested in more information about how to register in the CERT program, you can email us at emergencymanagement@franklincountyNC.gov. There are flyers on the back table as well for the training that's coming up. And that is my update, and I'll answer any questions you might have about this program or emergency volunteerism in general.
Any board members have any comments, questions?
Yeah, if I heard you right, we're on the edge of getting the Bunn
Right.
sponsored. What's the timeline?
So I think it's just a matter of us sitting down and making sure that everything is complete. As far as I know, to this point, we have all the documentation that we need for that group to become official, and we are working with Kim and everyone to sign the letter with the state formally recognizing them. So I would say within days or weeks.
Okay.
Does that mean the county?
In this case, the county would be a sponsoring agency for that club specifically, which is within our purview to do so. We have met with their leadership on many occasions, and I'm confident that they will be a good partner with the county and serving as an extension of our office. They do have a strict code of conduct from the state that they are expected to fall in line with, and they are aware of that. The state's aware of that, and we're aware of that. And so, to date, even in a pseudo capacity, they have already helped us tremendously in certain areas already. But we're confident that they'll be a good partner and adhere to that code of conduct, like we expect any CERT member or CERT team to do so.
So this training that you're doing in Youngs, is that to form a CERT group, or is that so that they can be a member of the?
Both. That training is open to anyone in the community, anywhere in the county. Actually, it's open to anyone in the state. But the goal of that training is to entice people to join, become trained, and then find a team to join. Whether it's starting a new team in their own community, which is something we have a process for what that looks like. It's to help Youngsville specifically start their team, because they have to meet a certain number of membership who have been trained to start the process of starting a team. But it is a avenue for anyone in the Lake Royale community, Bunn community, or anywhere else in Franklin County who are interested in becoming members. You don't necessarily have to be a member of a specific team to be a CERT volunteer. Again, CERT volunteers get called up all across the state all the time. And as a CERT volunteer or an affiliated volunteer, they avail themselves to those opportunities. So a good example of this is RDU runs security checkpoint exercises on a regular basis. They give CERT volunteers some sort of triggering device and see if the dog hits on them as they go through RDU security. And they open that opportunity to any CERT volunteer in the state. So you don't have to be a member of a team to be a CERT volunteer, but we want to grow teams in our county specifically. This is the first step to doing that. If that makes sense.
So what's the first step?
First step is getting people trained. So this is that first step. Once we get people trained, then we can look at, does Youngsville have enough members to start a team? If not, we need to do more marketing and more outreach to get more people trained. And then the second step is signing codes of conduct and working with the state to formalize that process.
Well, we've been hearing about the CERT team done ever since.
I believe it.
So I believe that one of our first steps is to get them up and approved and legitimate, because they've been talking to us about it for a long time.
Right. And I've been here for
That's
2
one of
years,
our
and we're finally in that position where we can be more proactive in our community engagement with this program specifically. Now that we're bringing on new resources into the county events in the county are continuing to grow, and we're finding more needs and opportunities to engage volunteers on a larger perspective. And so that's where we finally found the avenue to more formally engage the Bud Lions Club CERT program, and looking at what would it take to make them a formal organization with the state as a sponsored CERT program.
All right. Let me ask this too. Do I understand correctly that even if it's located in Youngsville, Bun, or Lake Royale, that if there's something happening on the other end of the county and they need CERT, that those people will respond also if they're needed?
Right.
Those areas?
So
What,
in
the other end
general,
of the county?
in general, CERT teams operate in a certain jurisdiction, and we are working to identify what those jurisdictions are. It's usually associated with their sponsoring agency. With the Bun Lions Club CERT, of course, their jurisdiction will probably match the Bun Volunteer Firefighter District, most likely. We're still working to see what those boundary lines look like, but you're absolutely right.
So our boundary lines can't just be Franklin County?
It can be. We could start a Franklin County CERT program that's county-wide. We're not in a position to do that yet, and we want to see this grassroots effort so that local communities are helping each other out. But you're absolutely right. If something happened in Franklinton or in the Alert community or something else that we needed volunteers for, from an emergency management perspective, I could pull any CERT in the county to come help.
Okay.
And it's all based on volunteerism, so it's based on their interest level. And
It's like mutual aid, the departments of mutual aid agreements. It would be following kind of that mutual aid.
Absolutely.
So Nicholas, one of my questions is one of the things I heard the most need for from the CERT community is the ability to continue to get the Con Ed that they need, continuing education that they need. Is this going to open the door for those members who have like EMTs or paramedics to
Yes.
do their training with us at the county level?
As an affiliated organization that's included in our response plans, volunteers of these organizations, these specific teams right now, or and CERT in general, because they're included in the state's emergency operation plans, avail themselves to tuition waivers to community colleges for education, specifically in the public safety curriculum. So if they needed Con Ed, if they're an EMT, they're a CERT member and they need Con Ed, they could go get a free course at a community college.
And if the community college is not sponsoring that because more departments are doing that in-house because they have the credentials to do it, the trainers to do it in-house, are we going to open that opportunity up to those CERT team members to do it in-house if the community college system isn't providing that?
So I can't speak to that directly because my department doesn't handle continuing education training that is specific to EMS. So I would have to refer that question to Matt Masters with EMS.
I just think that that's something that has been a need and was illustrated pretty clearly.
Now, I will say if CERT teams come to me and want training, I have a responsibility to find that training and schedule it. If it meets their EMS credentials, training officers, level of training their training officer at their local agency can approve below. So I do have a responsibility to offer training at their request.
Thank you.
Anybody else have anything to comment on?
I would like to take this moment to recognize Scott Strickland. I think he has been the one that has fathered this concept starting a couple years ago. Thankful for his steadfastness, his resilience, his stubbornness. I'll never take a no for an answer. I got to hand it to him. He don't give up. And like I say, thank you for all your efforts and all you've done to get us to this point. So very much. And all right. Anybody else have anything else to comment on? I'm going to go ahead and our action requested. Just received the update. We received the update. Moving on to item E, our CAB, completing access to broadband update. William Dorfer again, Assistant County Manager, will discuss recent updates with the CAB program. In April 2024, the Board of Commissioners committed $2 million in ARPA funds for the infrastructure funds to the program. Recently, staff participated in a competitive selection process along with representatives of the NC Broadband Infrastructure Office. I'll turn it over to you, Mr. Dorfer.
All right, thank you. Again, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners, one of these days. Okay, thank you. So, just a brief recap of what CAB is. CAB is the Completing Access to Broadband program. It's county-driven, meaning the county has input into priorities of the program. It is administered by the North Carolina Department of Information Technology, which means they're the contract party. They monitor the grant and make sure that everything's done the way it's supposed to be done. The county had 2 representatives participate in the selection committee. On April 15th, the Board of Commissioners committed $2 million in ARPA infrastructure funds to the CAB program. This is a map that you've seen before, but in Franklin County, we have over 4,700 eligible locations for the CAB program. On April 18th, so shortly after the board approved $2 million, the scope of work was published for pre-qualified service providers, and 4 proposals were received. The selection committee prioritized the highest number of passings per dollar. In other words, getting the most bang for the buck that we've contributed. On June 27th, the North Carolina Department of Information Technology released a decision memorandum announcing that Connect Holdings LLC, or Brightspeed, more commonly known, as the selected provider. This map, you have in front of you an 11 by 17 of this map, so I know the PowerPoint size is not helpful, but so 2,374 locations were awarded. It covers 50% of the remaining eligible locations in the county. The county match is $1.9 million, $1,962,729. The state has an equal match to that, and Brightspeed has to contribute $1.6 million, or $1,682,339. And just as an overall update, to date, nearly 6,000 locations have been funded through either the GREAT or the CAB program. So that's the first phase of GREAT, second phase of GREAT, the GREAT to CAB program from last fall, and then this CAB program. In addition, to date, the county itself has invested $2,674,369 in matching funds to broadband expansion. $2.4 million of that has been ARPA funds. So only $200,000 or $300,000 has been county taxpayer funds. The rest has been ARPA. And again, this is just the larger image of the award locations. You can see it is throughout the county, all the way up in the very northeast, northwest, west, south. It's all over. So I'm very, very fortunate to have gotten this award. It's been a real team effort. And going forward, the board can expect regular updates on the CAB as well as the great projects that are ongoing. And as a reminder, upcoming initiatives to move the county towards universal broadband coverage includes the stopgap program, which is $90 million appropriated by the legislature to the entire state. CAB is again available as of July 1st, so we were fortunate to get our awards in by the end of fiscal year 24, which means we'll be eligible for another round in fiscal year 25. And then again, the Broadband Equity Access and Deployment, or BEAD program, which is $1.5 billion awarded to the entire state. So if there's any questions at this time, I'd be happy to answer them.
Any board members have questions, comments? I have a couple here. Going back to our item C, that library grant funds,
Yes, sir.
is this going to be on top of this item?
Yes, yeah, separate grants. The $387,000 awarded to the library is specifically to provide additional service in the library. So they'll provide additional hotspots. They'll provide Chromebooks and iPads to provide digital literacy training, a full-time library digital navigator, which will help people with training.
Going to be
So
in
it's-
addition to this,
Yes,
what's
sir.
in front of
Yeah,
us
so
right now.
this is going to provide service at people's houses. The library is going to provide service at the library.
Okay. Now, when you say locations or passings, what does that mean? Households?
Generally households, but it does include commercial. So
That's just a fancy word for home.
any possible connection. So if there's a
Service, somewhere.
building, yeah, service location. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. I guess I ask this every time I fully support this overwhelmingly to get this service out to the underserved parts of the
Okay.
county.
Yes, sir.
Because everybody needs internet. It's just like, electricity, water and sewer. You've got to have it, or more important in some
That's right.
ways. But how many, we get all this done, how many more people are going to be lacking internet service?
So according
How much
to
further do we got to go to get it
sure.
where everybody has it?
According to CAB eligibility, so the completing access to broadband eligibility, there are about 2,374 remaining locations that would be eligible for CAB funding. Now, that's going to be a moving target going forward because, first of all, we've got people coming into the county. We have a regularly changing definition of broadband. So for now, I would say we're at the 2,300 or so remaining locations.
How many?
2,374.
2374
Yes, sir.
remaining,
Yes.
and we'll finish off getting it to everybody in one way or another.
That's the goal. I think between the BEAD funding and the stopgap funding, I think we're within 5 years of getting as close to universal coverage as we can. And again, it's going to be a moving target, but
A lot better than what it was a couple years ago.
absolutely. And that's the other part where the library fits in with the soundproof booths, soundproof booths. I cannot say that. So that people who can't get Wi-Fi at home and need to go to a telehealth appointment or a job interview, they can actually come into a library and be in a booth where people can hear what they're saying and they can participate in those telehealth and job interviews.
Well, go ahead and find us some more grant money.
Yes, sir.
Give a little match to it and get the rest of it done
That's right.
sooner than later.
Yes, sir.
Any other board members have any comments, questions? All right, action requested on this, just receive the update. Again, all right,
Thank you very much.
thank you very much. Okay, going to item number 4, appointments. Any board members have any appointments? Right. All right, moving on to item 5, other business. Anybody have any other business? Hearing none, I'll be moving along to Item 6, board, manager, and clerk's comments. I'll start off with our clerk. Okay, in this room here, okay? That's this Tuesday and Thursday. And Wednesday, okay, Wednesday too, okay. All right, and that schedule will open up at what, 6 o'clock? Okay, and run till 9 o'clock if need be. Okay, any of that concludes your report? All right. County attorney, you got anything you'd like to add? Okay, maybe no news is good news then. Commissioner Pierce?
No comments tonight.
Commissioner Speed?
Luckily.
No comment.
Commissioner Shriver?
None, sir.
Commissioner Blunt?
Nothing.
Commissioner London?
Yes, just briefly, it was great to attend the building dedication. It was for Mrs. Rosen. And also I attended the ESS board meeting. Great to
Commissioner Bragg?
Biggie. A biggie.
Oh, biggie.
This Friday, we have a grand thing happening in Franklinton. Franklinton has, because the developers, Joe and Stephanie Farrell, support, they have developed a new veteran memorial park on Main Street. And they're selling bricks to honor veterans in Franklinton through the American Legion Post. And so this Friday at 5:30, they're having the opening for the dedication of that park. They've got 3 beautiful flags flying over it now. The bricks are being laid. They've got, I think the report today was 600 that have been sold. There's a lot more that can be sold. They're $100 a brick if anybody wants to honor a veteran in your family or someone you know, and their name will be engraved on it. The town of Franklinton is really helping with this, and we thank Stephanie and Joe, of course, for sponsoring this, and the American Legion. But all the commissioners are invited to extend the invitation to y'all at 5:30 Friday on Main Street, Franklinton, and anybody else that wants to come to the celebration, you can come. So that, I think that's a really I hope.
Concludes your report.
Yep.
County manager, Ms. Kim Denton.
Thank you, Chairman Floyd. I want to call on Ron Preble to give an update on the issue of lights and sirens that was requested at our last meeting. This is a work in progress, but want to give an update of where we're at this point.
Thank you very much. I just wanted to give a quick update based on Commissioner Bond had made a request at our last meeting. One of the things we continue to look at from an EMS department is working with our community leaders, our community stakeholders, other departments internally, and other public safety agencies to always evaluate and look at call data and trends that we're seeing nationally that drive the changing and evolving needs of our emergency responders. And as we go through that and make adjustments, we will keep the commissioners informed and work through that and listen to any feedback we get on that. But as we go through this and address those concerns for the neighborhoods and those areas of concern, we will continue to evaluate that and move forward with the best way that we can to address those, while also making sure that we are maintaining our most responsive, way we can with the departments, as well as making sure that we continue to evolve that response matrix. Hope that makes sense. But the main thing I wanted to make sure we understand, we're continuing to look through that, and we'll let you know as we go through that, any changes that need to be made. But this is a trend that is evolving nationally, and And we will continue to update that with our state agencies and work through that as best we can. Any,
But we're looking for examples too, close by. That's the other piece of this, not starting from scratch, but looking at the examples that are already in our neighboring counties and communities.
yes, definitely, as we work with NCOEMS through that, Office of Emergency Services with the state, we're starting to see examples of that we can use and put in place ourselves. Answer any questions you might have. All right, thank you.
I want to recognize Assistant County Manager Will Durfer to provide an update on Epsom Park.
Good evening. So Epsom Park is moving right along. We just received our last permit, and so as of an email about 5:30 this evening, we expect to be putting that project out to bid in the next few weeks and receiving bids in August. And hopefully construction will start shortly after that. So moving right along on that, and I'll be excited to plan a ribbon cutting, groundbreaking sort of thing in the not too distant future. So if there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Any questions?
Thanks.
Okay.
And I don't have anything else. Thank you very much.
Okay, good. I'll leave it up to me. The only thing I'd like to report on, I know on June 29th at 10 a.m., we had the dedication of the old Board of Elections building down there at 217 Court Street in honor of Miss Rosanelle Johnson Eaton. Very impressed with that, because that's where she got her fiery start at, I understand, a long time ago. Back fighting a lot of barriers, obstacles. Reminded me, this is where I got my start at, February of 1990. In that little building, that's where I had to go. I had to get registered to vote and get registered to run for office, right there in that same building. I didn't know that was the same building. Really honored to go in her footsteps behind her on that and have a lot of admiration for her. That when I first met her, it was in the upstairs building over at our last meeting place, the second story of the jail rooms. And she was sitting out there with her daughter, and she looked so just enchanting. She had this glitter and sparkle in her eye. I'll never forget that. I think really obsessed with me there too, the way I was too. And so just can't help but she was just a tiny, small little lady, real tiny, nothing to her. But don't let that fool you. That little lady could move mountains, and she did move mountains back in her day. Oh yeah, it goes back to that old saying. I said it at the dedication ceremony over there, where they say, always did tell me, dynamite comes in small packages, and she was an example of that. She sure was. I have a lot of respect and admiration for her. Sure do. But anyway, that concludes my comments tonight. Does anybody else have anything else before I move on to the next agenda item? Moving up to item 7 is closed session. The board is asked to enter into closed session pursuant to the following North Carolina general statutes. First bullet is NCGS 143-318.11A3, attorney-client privilege communication. Second bullet, North Carolina General Statute 143-318.11A4, industry economic development. Third bullet is NCGS 143-318-11A5, real property purchase / contracts / leases. What's the pleasure of the board?
Move to go into closed session.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made and second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
No.
No.
I hear
just hate
two of
for it
them.
to be